topic that we are seeing today is linear time invariant system, popularly called as LTI system. Okay. So what is linear? What is time invariant? We have seen the properties of systems before this. So the different properties of systems are what? Linear system, causal system, then time invariant, stability, to be precise, Bibo stability, right? Then whether the system has memory or not. Fine, all those properties of systems we have seen. Now we shall consider a system which is linear as well as time invariant. Understand? So it does not vary with time, whose output does not vary with time. Such a system we have taken, and that system is linear system. Fine. So these are the two properties of the system we are considering, and the system that we consider will have these two properties. That is the assumption. Leaving these two properties, we don't consider a system is what is the meaning of this. Why? Because it would be easier for us to understand a system if we consider these assumptions. That is, a system is linear and the system is invariant. We don't test whether it is linear or whether it is time invariant. We don't test for that. But all the systems that we're going to consider here in this particular topic are linear time invariant. Understand that? So now, in this linear time invariant system, you have to understand one terminology, that is impulse response. Understand? So what is an impulse response? We all understand what impulse function is, right? We all understand what is impulse function. Okay, here it is delta of t if it is continuous time, or delta of n if it is what? Discrete time. Fine. Now let's see what is this delta of t. Delta of t is infinity at t equal to 0, and its area under the impulse is 1. So this is delta of t. Whereas if you come to delta of n is 1 at n equal to 0. This 1 is the amplitude for delta of n. Understand? But here the arrow says the amplitude is unbounded. This 1 is the area under the impulse, but this 1 here is the amplitude. So this we have seen earlier. So if this is impulse function, then response to this function is called as impulse response. So that means here, if you have a system, say, if you have a system like this, fine. So let this be our input, fine, x of t. Fine. Let our x of t be delta of t. Fine. Then response to this delta of t is going to be what? Is the question. What is this called? It is y of t, or rather, let me give you this. It is generally given the other notation. What is that? See here, response to delta of t. What is it represented as? It is represented as h of t. Fine. So what is the input now? Input is impulse function. What is the output? Output is impulse response. understand what is an impulse response now? This is an LTI system, mind you. This is an LTI system. If input to the LTI system is impulse function, then output is response to that impulse function. That's why it is called as impulse response. So everybody understand the term now? So very first term that we need to understand in this particular topic is what is impulse response. Impulse response is response to the input, which is impulse function. So response to impulse function is impulse response. Response to unit step or unit impulse is unit impulse response. It's just that. So it need not be continuous time always. It can even be discrete in time. See, it could even be x of n equal to delta of n. So in that sense, in that case, it would be response to delta of n, and it would be called h of n. Get that point? So in this particular topic, from here on, whenever I use delta of t or delta of n, it is impulse function. And whenever I use h of t and h of n, it is called as impulse response. Okay, and every LTI system is characterized by its impulse response. How it responds to the impulse function is a very important characteristics of LTI. So if we understand the impulse response of the system, okay, we can understand the output of the system for any of the inputs. Get this point, everybody? Listen to me very carefully. Every LTI system is characterized by its impulse response. Fine. So let's take that. Every LTI system is characterized by its what? Impulse response. Understand this point? So they're characterized by their impulse response. That means every system has its own impulse response. So if you know the impulse response of an LTI system, okay, so you can find the output of the LTI system for any input. Every LTI system is characterized by its impulse response. Fine. And if you know the impulse response, okay, we can find the output to any input. Understand? And that impulse response is h of t. Now, let's try represent, okay, the LTI system in terms of impulse response. Understand that? So let's see here how to represent LTI system in terms of the impulse response. Fine. So this we shall see now. Very important topic. Very important. Fine. Unless you understand this, you cannot understand what we do from here on. It's very challenging topic also. Too many sketches, too many imaginations. So if you can imagine what is a signal, what is reflection of that. Understand? So if there is shift as well as scaling, what to do first, your precedence rule, everything comes here. Whatever operations we have learned on signals in first module and whatever characteristics that we have learned before this would be of use in this particular topic, and it's a lot of sketches. Understand? Okay. So if you get this point, it is going to be easy for you. Fine. So everybody please concentrate on what we're doing. So every system has got an impulse response. What is an impulse response? Impulse response is response to the impulse function. And every LTI system has got its own impulse response. And so LTI system can be represented in terms of impulse response. So how to do that is what we need to understand. Okay, so for the above purpose, let us consider a discrete signal. Let us consider a discrete signal and express the signal in terms of what? Impulse function. So we shall do this now. Okay. So to obtain the LTI system output in terms of what? Impulse response, we shall first consider a discrete signal and express the signal in terms of what? Impulse function. That means we need to consider some x of n, say discrete signal. So let's say discrete signal x of n. Okay, and express the signal in terms of impulse function, that is delta of n. Okay, so that is delta of n. Fine. Now this we shall do. Fine. So the thing that we learn here is how to represent a discrete time signal in terms of what? Impulse function. Okay, so that is this. So let's consider this x of n, any x of n. This is just an example. Okay, so I'm considering some x of n, and I'll show you how to express this x of n in terms of impulse function. Fine. So we have these samples. Fine. We have these samples. Okay, so this is sample at -1. This is sample at n equal to 0. Sample at 1. Sample at 2. This is sample at -2. We have 3, 4, 5 here. Okay, -3. Excuse me. -3, -4. Understand? So this is x of n. This is our x of n. So this is amplitude 2. This is amplitude 1. This is amplitude 0.5. This is amplitude -1. This is how x of n is there. Fine. So if this is x of n, now this x of n can be splitted in different forms. Can be split as following. Okay. So now the x of n we have considered can be split. Can be splitted as following. This can be splitted as following. So how is that we can split? So we shall consider each sample. We shall consider each sample and see how this each sample can be represented in terms of the impulse function or shifted impulse function. Understand that? So everybody see this particular exercise. Okay, very important. Fine. Now let's consider just one sample. Let's just consider this sample. This is -1 and -1 sample is at n equal to -2. Is this okay with you, everybody? Is this fine, everybody? So this is, what is that we have written now? So this is your x of minus 2. X of minus 2 is minus 1. What is x of minus 2? X of minus 2 is a sample which exists at n equal to minus 2. And we have seen that here is minus 1, which is existing at n equal to minus 2. That's why I'm calling it as x of minus 2. Understand? So now, suppose if I multiply this by this particular function, you have to tell me what is that I'm writing now, or name this. Can anybody name this signal? If this is x of minus 2, which we said by seeing this particular sample, can you tell me this without referring to this? Without referring to this, which standard signal we can use to represent this in discrete time? Anybody? Which standard signal we can make use of to represent this discrete signal?
Delta of n plus 2.
Delta of n plus 2. Very good. So this is delta of n plus 2. Right? Why it is delta of n plus 2? See here, everybody, delta of n is 1. So like this is 1. Okay. Delta of n is 1 at what? N equal to 0. So if you shift it to the left at minus 2, okay, so this will be delta of n plus 2. Understand? So that is what is this. Now we have considered two samples. One is x of minus 2 sample from this, and another sample is delta of n plus 2. Okay, can you tell me if you multiply these two, what would happen? What do we get actually? What do we get if we multiply x of minus 2 and delta of n plus 2? Don't you think we get the same at n equal to 2? There is some signal at n equal to 2. Everybody understand? There is some signal at n equal to 2. Okay. And that n equal to 2, that signal at n equal to minus 2 is being multiplied by 1. Again at n equal to minus 2. If you multiply this 2, okay, you're going to get the same signal. Understand this point, everybody? Yes, that's why I'll consider this sample. See everybody. First, I'll consider this sample, which is minus 1 at n equal to minus 2, and call this as sample x1 of what? N. And this can be written as x of minus 2 into delta of n plus 2. Is this okay with you, everybody? So this particular sample is now can be represented as x of minus 2, because this is existing at minus 2. And if you multiply this by delta of n plus 2, you're going to get the same. So what is the purpose here? The purpose is to consider a sample and express that in terms of the impulse function or shifted impulse function. Okay. So if this you have understood, can you tell me what is this? First you understand. Okay. Tell me what is this at n equal to minus 1. How can I express this in terms of, let me call this as x2 of n. Can you tell me now how to express this in terms of delta function or impulse function or shifted impulse function? Anybody? You have to respond. Yeah, go on. Where is this existing? Where is this existing? This is existing at n equal to minus 1. Okay. So this is x of minus 1. And if you multiply this by a sample which is 1 at minus 1, that is delta of n plus 1. Okay, that is how we can do this. So we have another sample. So let's take another sample at n equal to 0. At n equal to 0, it is 2. So let me call this as x3 of n. Fine, what is x3 of n? x3 of n is x of 0, okay, into delta of n. Understanding? Similarly, give me the samples at 1 and 2 separately. Samples at 1 and 2 now. So this is sample at 1 and it is 1 at n equal to 1. Let me call this as x4 of n, okay? And this is x of 1 into delta of n minus 1. Okay. Similarly, I have another sample, the last sample in that particular signal, which is existing at n equal to 2 and it is 0.5. Okay, let me call this as x5 of n. Fine. So if this is called x5 of n, then x5 of n can be represented as x of 2 into delta of n minus 2. Is this okay with you, everybody? So I have split this particular signal in these form. Fine. Now, if you add all these, what is that you're going to get? If you add all these samples, okay, so you're going to get x of n. Understand that? So therefore, we can say x of n is actually equal to x1 of n plus x2 of n plus x3 of n plus x4 of n plus x5 of n. There are 5 samples. Fine. Now sample at n equal to where is the first sample existing? It is existing at -2, right? So x1 of n is x of -2 into delta of n plus 2. So without seeing the signal, we can write this. If you understand where is the first sample. Then the second sample is at n equal to -1. So it is x of -1 into delta of n plus 1. The third sample is at n equal to 0, right? The third sample is at n equal to 0. So it is x of 0 into delta of n plus x of 1 into delta of n minus 1 plus x of 2 into delta of n minus 2. Isn't it? Now, this is how we can do this. Now, see here, this x of n now has come in terms of this delta function or shifted delta functions, shifted impulse functions. Now, if you have to combine this into one generalized equation, or suppose if you have to combine this in a compact form, how can you express that? How can you express that? Therefore, this x of n which we have obtained is actually sum of, see, it's sum of, right? Now, if you take these as, see here, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, all are there, right? So if you consider them as case, okay, so case actually range from -2 to +2. Understand? So that's why, how can you represent this x of -2, x of -1, x of 0, x of 1, and x of 2? We can represent that as what? What we can represent that here? It's x of k. If this is x of k, okay, then what should this be associated with? What delta function would come here? It is delta of n minus k. So this is how I can write this particular x of n. Okay, and this x of n is ranging from -2 to 2. That's why I've taken this as this. So in general, how I can write that? In general, this can be written as, see here, in general, it can be written as x of n. Let that x of n range from anywhere to anywhere. So let's write n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity. Sorry, it's not n, it's k, right? X of k into delta of n minus k. Very important equation. So everybody should understand how we can express the discrete signal x of n in terms of delta of n or shifted versions of delta of n. Understand that? So what we can call this as, if you have to express this in terms of a statement. Okay, so this can be called now as, see, if this we consider as weight, a scalar. Okay, and what is this? Shifted impulse function. Now, why do we consider this as a scalar? See, these are all numbers. These are all numbers. What is, let me just show you. What is x of -2? X of -2 is -1. X of -1 is 2. X of 0 is 2. X of 1 is 1. X of 2 is -1. Or sorry, 0.5. Understand that? So that's why this x of k is a scalar. It's a number. Scalar means it's a number. It's a number. Okay. And this is what? This is shifted impulse function. Understand? So therefore, if you have to give a statement, if you have to express this in terms of statement, okay, it can be expressed as, therefore, x of n can be expressed as, anybody would like to give the statement for this? These are weights and this is sum. So it is weighted sum of shifted impulse functions, can be expressed as weighted sum of shifted impulses. Impulse, we can say, or shifted impulses, we shall say, impulses or impulse functions. Shifted impulses. Everybody understand? So this is how we can express x of n as weighted sum of shifted impulses or impulse functions. Get this point? Now, what we do is we apply this signal to an LTI system. Everybody understand this point? Now we are applying this particular signal to the LTI system. So what would happen? Fine. So let's say that. Now apply this x of n as input to an LTI system. Okay, so if we apply this x of n to an LTI system, what would happen is what we need to see now. Everybody just see here. This is an LTI system. Fine. So this is an LTI system. Okay. So the symbol of this is also same. So what is that we are applying? We are applying x of n. What are we getting? We are getting response to this x of n. Okay, which is actually our impulse response. Response to the impulse function is impulse response. Fine. This is response to impulse function. That's why this is called as impulse response. Understand that? So let's see now. Let's see this. Fine. Now let's consider this as output y of n only. So because this is x of n, this is not your h of n, mind you. So this is, sorry, huh? So this is, let me just give you this as y of n only. As of, like we still have not given x of h of n as the input here. Fine. So just a sec. Let me just took. So this is just an output. Okay, this is just an output. Y of n. Okay. So let me tell you that this is still not the impulse function. Fine, impulse function will come when we substitute that above expression for x of n. Okay. So therefore, y of n is response to what? X of n. Okay, and how we have expressed our x of n? Everybody see here how we have expressed our x of n. X of n is expressed as the weighted sum of shifted impulses. So let's bring that weighted sum of shifted impulses here. Then the response, impulse response will come across. So this is weighted, this is sum of, okay, so this is x of k is the weighted sum of shifted impulses. Shifted impulses means the delta of n minus k. It is response to this. Now, since the system is LTI, since the system is linear, okay, since the system is linear, okay, y of n can be written as, so what we can do if the system is linear, we can take this, what, x of k out, and we can even take this separate, and we can apply transform on signal only. This is the signal, impulse response or impulse function is the signal. Okay, that's what we can do is we can take this. So we can take these two out and apply response, okay, only on delta of n minus k. So this is response to what? Impulse function. Understand now? Okay, if this is response to impulse function, then this can be written as what? Infinity x of k into h of n minus k. So this is output of what? An LTI system, discrete time LTI system. Everybody understand this point? So this is discrete time LTI system output. Now we need to express this. Now we need to express this properly. What is this? Delta of n minus k is the shifted impulse function. So this is response to shifted impulse function. So this is what? Impulse response. So this is impulse response. Now how would you express this? This is weighted sum of, okay, impulse responses. Understand that? Therefore, output of an LTI system is what? Weighted sum of shifted impulse responses. Earlier it was weighted sum of shifted impulses. Now it is weighted sum of impulse responses. Is that okay with you, everybody?